What's up with the squad? Back with another video I seen. I thought it was going down. Y'all see it right here. Y'all see it. A lot of this, like I've been stating before, a lot of this is common sense. As John Fetterman of Pennsylvania is reportedly considering leaving the Democratic Party and running for re-election as an independent or even possibly a Republican in 2028. Says Fetterman has zero chance of winning as an independent. Third party runs almost always flop and split votes, but if he runs Republican, he'll get full Republican support. Plus, pulling tons of independents and conservative leaning Democrats who are fed up with the far left circus. So let me explain something to y'all. I truly feel like if John Fetterman were to be independent or Republican, one thing that I can definitely say about John Fetterman is that he has that common sense. He has that common sense from what I've been seeing. He's honestly, from my understanding, the only Democrat, I guess that has that common sense. Me personally, what I see, what I'm going to show y'all today. Says John Fetterman just said that we've all been screaming for years. We've all been screaming for years. And he's saying that I can't see continuing with the party, that they've lost their way. Said he knows it. We all know it. The Democrats have gone full, crazy. And even one of their own is pretending, is done pretending otherwise. And it's truly, it becomes sad that you kind of see that. You know what I mean? And when I say that you kind of see that, like, you have an individual that truly looks at the Democratic Party and mind you, in the Democratic Party and speaking truth about stuff, and so many people aren't realizing that. So many people aren't seeing that it's truly important to pay attention and realize what's truly going on. And you literally have somebody that's in your so-called, Democratic Party, or what he is, Democrat right now. They said he's switching, but people just need to they need to listen. They need to listen and realize what's going on in front of them. This is one of the reasons right here. Let me get off here. This is one of the reasons right here. Says this is why John Fetterman is seriously considering becoming a Republican. This is insane. Sources close to Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman says he's facing pressure to ditch the Democrats and switch to the Republican Party, with President Trump personally offering full endorsement, massive financial backing, and GOP support to help him win big. This comes just days after a fellow Democrat, and this is where it gets pretty crazy. A guy actually running against him in the 2028 Senate primary was arrested for leaving multiple voicemails with graphic threats against Fetterman and his 13-year-old daughter, and also President Trump, which is definitely insane. It says when your own party's primary challenger is out there threatening your kid, maybe it's time to rethink the team you're on. Fetterman has been bucking the far left on issues like Israel, immigration, and more. And now this. Democrats' party tolerance for this is, kind of extreme. And it's pushing even him, to the edge. And truly, I would be the same way. I mean, when you already fed up with already being, within the Democratic Party and what they've been about, I truly feel like, especially with having somebody doing that as well, it's definitely sickening. It's truly sickening of even and a 13-year-old kid. That just goes to show you who's actually pushing, more so for violence. And that brings me to my next thing. You literally have Hakeem Jeffries here, for instance, since we talk about, Democrats. He's always, speaking on about something, and I guess they look at him as, that main one, the one that the loudmouth for the crew. You know what I mean? Says he's doubling down on his violent rhetoric. Check it out.
Mr. Leader, I want to get your response. I realize this quote is a quotation from someone else, but you Republicans continue to hit you over saying Maxine Warfare everywhere all the time in your tweet after the Virginia election. So I want you to respond to that. And from a macro perspective, if you can, What are you advising your members to do about rhetoric right now that you can criticize the president without facing GOP criticism?
Political violence in any form directed at anyone, whether that's the right, the left, or the center, is unacceptable. Period. Full stop. The notion that any of us are concerned with so-called criticism from these phony Republicans as it relates to anything that has been said, certainly as it relates to the comment related to maximum warfare everywhere, all the time, in connection with the redistricting battle that Republicans launched. I stand by it. You can continue to criticize me for it. I don't give a damn about your criticism.
And that right there just goes to show you the type of person that he is and that he has no character. That you sitting here and speaking on that it's always President Trump or MAGA doesn't take accountability when he's clearly not for the things that he's been saying. And it's truly sad. You literally have right here this Caroline Leavitt. She is on leave, I believe. She is. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, they did post her newborn baby. So definitely, big congrats to Caroline Leavitt and, her husband and, her family. Literally, you have Caroline Leavitt here, though, that is calling out Democrats by name. That is sparking a lot of this violence. Check it out.
It's not just the media. It is the entire Democrat Party has made their pitch to voters across the country that Donald Trump poses an existential threat to democracy, that he is a fascist, and that they compare him to Hitler. I mean, these are despicable statements that the American people have been consuming for years. And so many mentally perturbed individuals are led to believe these words are truth and then are inspired to act on it. I have a whole host of examples that we can share with you after. It is pages and pages of major Democrat Party elected officials saying, such as Rep. Hakeem Jeffries just this month said, "We are in an era of maximum warfare everywhere all the time." Governor Josh Shapiro said heads need to roll within the administration. Senator Alex Padilla said people are, quote, dying because of fear and terror caused by the Trump administration. Senator Elizabeth Warren, President Trump is making the country look like a, quote, fascist state. Senator Adam Schiff saying President Trump using a dictator playbook. Senator Ed Markey calling President Trump a dictator, saying that this administration's actions are authoritarianism on steroids. Governor J.B. Pritzker, never before in my life have I called for mass protest disruptions. These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. You have Rep. Presley saying, "We'll see you in the streets." Rep. Monica McIver, a Democrat representative on Capitol Hill, "We will not take this shit from Donald Trump. He thinks he's a dictator. We are at war." These are Democrat elected officials calling for war against the President of the United States and his supporters. I could go on and on, but again, when you have people in positions of power that are saying things like this every single day for years, you are inspiring violence by people who are already mentally ill. And that's what we've seen against this president for far too long.
That's real, though. I'm not even gonna lie. That's real. I mean, it's no way about it. And I'm truly glad that, she called out a lot of these individuals leading up to the things that's been going on. I mean, you gotta think about it. Just since I'm speaking, I'm dropping this tomorrow. Just yesterday you have things going on, by the White House, shooting. It's so much that gets bad. Instead of calming the situation down, speaking as far as Democrats, of calming the situation down and actually realizing what y'all, and the thing is that they realize what they're doing. That's the thing. They realize what they're doing. And then they'll have that, and y'all know what they do? They'll take all that violence that's going on, and then they blame the Republican Party, and then they put it on social media, and that way all the people that supporting Democrats, they go, "Oh, it's just because of MAGA. It ain't MAGA out there doing it at all. It's not, even if you ain't full-blown MAGA and you just love what Trump is doing. It's either or. Some things, it's people out there that some things they don't like, some things they do. but they still had that support. But one thing about it, I'm gonna definitely tell you, is that it's not coming from the right. Independence is coming from Democrats. I'm gonna show y'all this right here. Show y'all, just based off of, what John Fetterman said, because it's true. Check it out.
You said, quote, "I've drunk deeply of the venom of both the left and the right. As a connoisseur, I can confirm that the most poisonous, the bitterest, is from the far left." That is pretty remarkable to hear you say that as an elected Democrat. Why?
Yeah. No. It's just been my personal experience on this thing. And when I asked my digital team, I said, we're on all the platforms. Really, what's kind of the harshest? What's kind of the most personal? And the answer was immediate. He said, "Oh, blue sky. It's blue sky." And the difference is, the right would say really rough things and names. Some names I won't repeat on TV, but the on the left, it was like they want me to die, or that we're cheering for your next stroke, or that's terrible that depression won. Why couldn't it depression won? And I hope your kids find you. They even have like the graphic, a GIF where they have like a stroke, in your head,
Oh my gosh.
cheering at that. Yeah, and they said that. I remember one. They claimed, "Oh, the doctor let us down, and why did they have to save his life?"
That's crazy.
Just really, I just can't imagine. People are wishing, I wish he dies, or I want him to die. Literally cheering for a stroke. And I don't know what the kind of a place where that comes from. That's much different than just calling me a name. That's really been consistent, in that community online.
And then that's the thing. Like I've gotten so many messages, and they send them I didn't had a couple, through email, but I've had, mostly messages on Instagram of having people call me names and say this and say that. But I feel like it's definitely going extreme when you talking about that you don't want somebody here, literally. And that they wish this and wish death upon you and stuff like that. That's definitely sickening and sad that people are even like that, and nobody should be able to, nobody should have to go through that. Nobody should have to hear that, or anything. But it's just a sad thing, when you're speaking on stuff like this, real stuff, it definitely gets, to that point, and it's definitely sickening. It's definitely sickening. You literally have, again, Hakeem Jeffries, again, the person that loves to speak, on things that he really shouldn't even be speaking about. Says he's pouting about, total nonsense about the Trump admin failing on immigration and the economy. Says here, our border is closed and illegals are being removed. President Trump is cleaning up Biden and Harris's mess, securing our borders and putting America first. And that's exactly what he's doing. But clearly, you have Hakeem Jeffries that think different. Check it out.
Donald Trump and Republicans have failed the country when it comes to the economy. Republicans promised that they were going to lower the high cost of living on day one of Donald Trump's presidency. But costs haven't gone down in the United States of America. Costs have gone up under failed Republican policies. Housing costs are out of control. Grocery costs are out of control. Healthcare costs are out of control. Utility bills are out of control. And child care costs are out of control. The affordability crisis in the United States of America is very real.
I can tell y'all right now, regardless of how he feels about the economy, illegals, this, that, and the other, things can be completely fine. All illegals will be out of America. Grocery prices will be low. Gas prices will be low. People starting to flood into houses, feeling good. Y'all want to know something that they'll definitely keep on doing? they'll continue to lie and say otherwise. And that's exactly what he's doing right now. Regardless of what's going on, I'm going to tell y'all something. There's no excuse. But a lot of the things that's going on is going to be like that for a second, for things to change around, seeing how what the last administration did. But they didn't have none of this energy, saying this, saying that, when Biden and Harris was in there messing up everything.
Republicans have failed to lower the high cost of living. And as a result of the Trump tariffs, costs are going up by thousands of dollars per year on everyday Americans. Democrats remain committed to driving down the high cost of living, to fixing our broken healthcare system, and to ensuring that we have immigration enforcement policies in this country that are fair, just, and humane. Republicans have failed America on affordability, on health care, on immigration enforcement, and they have failed to make life better for the American people.
I'm going to tell y'all one thing for sure. And this is a true live fact. And I don't want to tell nobody who you need to vote for, who you need to support. But I'm telling y'all right now, he ain't the way to go. At all. He's not. You have John Fetterman here, again, a person with common sense, says ICE should round up illegal aliens nationwide rather than slow down. Check it out.
Border, and it was skyrocketing, and it's like, that's unsustainable. When you reach almost 300,000 people, that's unsustainable. And we need to, as a Democrat, right, it shouldn't be unreasonable to want to secure our border and do it in that way. And now let's also talk about ICE. Now, absolutely. Again, what happened in Minneapolis was absolutely tragic. And then now, if you think, now this is from the Washington Post, this is the latest statistics. These are people that ICE now are, it's like now 67% have criminal charges, pending ones, or that. So that's more than right, 2/3. The people now there are some people that aren't involved in any kinds of illegal things, but so me, I think two things can be true. Round up all the criminals, deport them. They shouldn't have ever been here, and they definitely have to go. And now right, I don't want to see more and more things happening in Minneapolis now too. So two things must be true. And I strongly reject the extreme on either side, about this now. So we must be true. And, I watched you earlier in your show. You just pointed out President Obama deported, millions of people, and there wasn't having the same kind of outrage here, here is from Democrats.
I'm telling y'all. One thing about it is that this man got some common sense, and he sees exactly what needs to happen. Exactly what needs to happen. You got it right here. It says 231 to 186. House just passed the Deporting Fraudsters Act. Automatic deportation for illegals who commit welfare fraud. 186 Democrats voted no. They rather obviously protect fraudsters than American taxpayers, which is definitely crazy to me. But, it's Democrats.
On this vote, the yeas are 231, the nays are 186. The bill is passed. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
And y'all got it right there. Definitely. Got it right here. It says John Fetterman says, he can't see continuing with the Democratic Party and believes they'll lost their way. Says here that I suspect he's gearing up to leave the Democratic Party before 2026 elections. He will either become independent, or an outright, Republican. There's yet, another Senate seat Dems need to worry about. One thing about it, I'm not going to lie. John Fetterman is definitely making the right choice when it comes down to it. Whether, him being independent or Republican, just seeing him have that common sense and speak, the truth about things, I definitely wish, it was more so, individuals like him, within that Democratic Party, but it's not, obviously, and that's the sickening part about it. I'm not even gonna lie. One thing though that I have to throw this in here, because again, whenever the left doesn't get, anything, they tend to call you names, honestly, and it's truly sickening on what he does. Check it out right here.
Yeah, Tim, well, we got to talk about this. President Trump says House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries has his, quote, low IQ, and suggests he should be impeached over comments calling the Supreme Court, quote, illegitimate. What do you make of that?
This is where the Democrats are now. When they get a decision they don't like, everything that disagrees with them is illegitimate. Just like, again, President Trump's first term was somehow illegitimate. They've been saying the Supreme Court is illegitimate since they overturned Roe versus Wade. And now with this voting rights case, where they really believe that a black American doesn't have their voting rights unless they elect another black American, if they're a Democrat, you see the absurdity of all of this, where they're saying they're going to get rid of the black district in Tennessee, which is represented by a white guy, opposed to by a black Republican. The whole scenario is absurd. But, Hakeem Jeffries is not going to suffer with his liberal friends in the media by saying the Supreme Court is illegitimate. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, look, what I've noticed out of a lot of people, a lot of individuals, and this is over the course of seeing people vote, because he mentioned, something like this, I should say. What I've tend to notice is that a lot of people, especially from the black community, is that they don't pay attention enough. They look at the simple fact, okay, this is a Democrat. Well, he's most likely black, I'm going to vote for him. Rather than actually looking at what's going on and what's true. I'm not saying that it's everybody, but there is a large majority of people who do this, or they listen to a friend, or they listen to a family member. And that is not what you need to do. Just pay attention, or just, honestly, I'm gonna be completely 100 with y'all. Just don't even vote. I'm not telling people don't vote, but I'm just saying, it's better off like that than you sitting there and you're not even knowing really what's going on. You sitting there, listen to a family member, you listen to a friend. You need to lock in and see who this person is, who this individual is, and actually pay attention. I feel like it's definitely a time, that people, need to do that instead of just looking at a person because of the color of their skin or how they look or how they talk. People need to lock in. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Definitely appreciate y'all. Much love, everybody. Catch y'all next one.